Change the brake pads on the Saturn today. I had about a, well, let's see, quote here from my Chevy dealer the other day. I don't know if you can read that or not. They had 152.18 for the front brake pads. I bought them for 30 bucks. I said the rotor needed immediate attention, but I'll show you the rotors in a minute. They're fine. They were gonna machine them, and that was another 55 bucks. That was 200 bucks. About the same thing on the rear pads. So I told them, nah, don't do that. I'll take care of that. They say that's immediate attention. Otherwise, I'm in danger, probably, of getting myself killed, or Marlene. And they also, that high-level stoplight went out. The suckers went $485.27 to replace the whole stop lamp. Well, it turns out it's an LED lamp. There aren't any light bulbs in them anymore. And I got on the internet, I found a replacement lamp, a new one, and a universal, that I'll just screw in over that one for about $7. So when that shows up, I'll take care of that too. So I'll have about $110 in repairs that they were going to hit me up for $894.88 worth. That's what happens when you go depend on a dealer to fix your stuff up. Anyway, that's what we're going to do today. Play around with this stuff. The light isn't here yet for the rear, but we'll get some shots of that too when it does. All right, we have the wheels off. We have the car up on the hoist, make it easier for an old fat guy to work on it without having to bend over. Got the front end blocked up. And here's what you get when you take the wheel off. You take a look at this rotor. It's nice and smooth. You know, it doesn't need to be machined at all. I didn't measure it with the calipers, but it doesn't need it. I mean, for years I've been changing brakes on these cars. I've only run into a couple instances where I needed to machine the rotor. And when that happens, a lot of times it's hard to find places that can do it, unless they're doing the brake job, the whole thing. So then I just went for new rotors. They're not that expensive. We're not going to do anything with them this time. We're going to leave them just like they are. Here's the cover. This is where the brake pads are. We're going to take this screw right here out. Bolt, it's not really a screw. 14 millimeters. Then we're going to fold this up. And that'll give us access to the brake pads. We can just lift them right out of there. They just clip in there. So first I'll get my 14 millimeter ratchet and I'll flip that top up. Gotta be careful when you do that because you got this hose here that you don't want to damage that hose. So with that, we'll flip that baby up. Okay, we have the cover raised. This is a piston right here. We use a C-clamp to push that in a little bit. The reason we're going to have to push it in is because there's pressure on it from when the brakes were closed. It's a hydraulic system, closed hydraulic system. And we're going to have to push it back, which is going to push some of the fluid back up into the master cylinder. Because as these brake pads wore, that moved in a little closer and a little closer. These are the pads. And if I can do this with one hand, they just clip in there like so. So we've got one out. We're looking at the pad. We'll measure these. This guy's told me I had 2 millimeters of brake pad left. Actually, that's more than 2 millimeters. But we'll check it and see. I think we had another 50,000 miles on these pads. We'll compare them to the new ones. There's one on both sides. There's another one on the back there. We'll clip him out. Kind of difficult with one hand, but I think you're getting the idea. Okay. We got that one out. Two. Get the new ones out of the box. We'll we'll compare them. Yuck! It's a dirty job. It's a dirty, rotten job if somebody has to do it. Save a couple $100. I mean, I can wash my hands. That's the way I figure this kind of crap out. I mean, okay. This was something that really took some skill and talent, like honing the cylinder boards and bores and measuring the crankshaft journals and those kinds of things. I sort of leave that to the pros. I've done it, but I kind of leave it to the pros nowadays. Some of this technology's gotten beyond me, but these brakes are about as simple as they've ever been, at least on this end. They're around the master cylinder. That's maybe a different story, but we're not going to mess with that part of it anyway. Our brand new retainer kit clips are in place there. Wish I had 3 hands I could shoot this stuff on, putting the parts in, but there's not that much to it. But the old clips are pretty well defunct. They're dirty, and they're kind of little spring things on there too. Best to replace them. While you're at it, they come with the pad. Here's a new pad. Compared to the old one, you can see there's quite a difference in how much brake surface we've got left here. These babies are going to go for probably 100, 150,000 miles. The way I drive anyway, the way Marlene drives, who knows, maybe get 50, 60,000 out of them. There's 50 grand on the car right now. Brakes should last a lot longer than that. We got there are 3 grades of these brake pads. We got the middle one here for $30 on the front. $30 on the front, $50 on the back. So, that's all there's to it. We're going to grease it up a little bit there on the clip ends with some white lithium grease, and we're going to put her back together. Well, gentlemen and women, we have the new pads installed, and you'll notice that they're a lot thicker in there now than the old ones were, which means this piston is going to have to be pushed back a little ways before we can close the cover. And in order to do that, we're going to use a C-clamp. So hold on one and we'll get the old C-clamp in action here. Okay, we have the C-clamp installed. You can see this space here, this distance here. We're going to turn the clamp and we're going to force that back into the cylinder, this piston back into the cylinder. Then we'll be able to close it on close the cover over the pads, or the cover over the rotor, and then when we step on the brakes, that piston will come out of there this way and it'll push these pads together, and that's supposed to stop us. That's how that's supposed to work. So, hopefully, it'll still do that. We'll soon see. Have to do the other side. This is just one side of the process. We're going to do both of these, and then we're going to do the back ones. All right, we screwed that baby in. And now we're going to close it. And we'll press the brake inside when we're finished. Bring her back out to where it's supposed to be. One side is finished, the driver's side. So now we're ready to move over to the other side, the passenger side. We'll do that one. And that'll be about lunchtime. Then we'll do the rear ones. If it doesn't get too hot, then you'll just have to wait till tomorrow morning. The right pads are in place now. New ones, new clips. We got the piston clamp on the piston that's got to push back into the cylinder as far as she'll go, so we're ready to snap it back together. I'll put the wheels on, take the blocks out, and we're ready to do the rear wheels. Clamps out, the pads and caliper are back in place, everything is bolted back into specification. Now we're ready to put the wheels back on, and That'll do it for the front. Okay, it's rear brake time. We'll take that little baby off. I'm going to take both screws out of this one. Lift it back, hang it kind of from the emergency brake. And we're going to go to work on it. Get those pads changed. Marlene will be all set to go again. That's kind of as I thought. These are the new pads, these are the old ones. These old ones are still perfectly good. A lot of surface on them yet. But as long as I went and spent 50 bucks for the rear pads, it was like 80 bucks for the front ones. I don't know why these rear ones are so expensive, but since I did it, I've been thinking about it, whether I should just leave it or not. I figure, well, shoot, I got it up there on the blocks, I got it all apart. I don't want to have to take this back. I'd get my money back for these, but I hate to do that too. So as long as I got everything here, I'm going to go ahead and change them. So what I've done is I've taken this water pump pliers, I call it, adjustable wrench, and I turn that piston, the rear brakes, that emergency brake installed like that. You can't just push those pistons back. You have to catch the ridge of these below the boot, the rubber boot, and just turn it clockwise slowly. Probably about a turn and a half or so. I don't know. That'll suck the cylinder back in there enough to give you clearance to put the new fatter brake shoes in. So we're gonna go ahead and change them. All right. Missed me a little bit at the service guy, telling me these had to be changed out, and they don't really. But I suppose that's how they make their money, so that's the way it goes. All right, our new pads and our retainer clips are installed in this rear wheel, and the piston is depressed, screwed back into the cylinder. So we're ready to, we got them greased up, and we're ready to put the calipers back on again. Here's our right rear wheel. Those pads are actually in great shape. I shouldn't change them out, but I got the new ones here, so I'm going to do it. I've got the piston turned clockwise and pushed back into its cylinder, so we should have plenty of clearance there. Put the new ones in. So we'll take the old ones out now, give you a shot of those compared to the new ones, and we'll put her back together. Okay, I'll do this in the sunlight so you can get a good look at these. The old one is closest to the camera. The new one is about by the tip of my fingers. I measured them with my trusty slide rule and their digital slide rule, and the old one's about 6 millimeters, the new one is 9 millimeters. So that means I'm a third of the way through the useful life of the old one. We got about 45,000 miles on the car. So that means I should get roughly 135, 140,000 miles before I had to change these back ones. But that's how it goes. Live a little, waste a little. What the hell? New pads are in place, and clips, greased up, and we're ready to put the caliper back on. Won't be long now, this job will be done. We've got her all back together again. Bolts tightened, got her greased. Calipers are in place. Everything's looking fine. And we're going to put the wheels back on, and we'll see if the brakes work or not. We got our brake pads changed now. Wheels back on. Tightened up with the lug wrench. Tools put away. And it's time to check her out. Make sure nothing leaks and that everything is copacetic, like they say.